Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you are doing well. We have already done first two chapters. Today we're going to start third chapter. And the name of the third chapter is Indus Valley Civilization. Now previously we have been doing those chapters, those civilizations which were unknown to us, but now you are familiar with them. Now this civilization that we're going to do today, that is the Indus Valley Civilization. After covering up this chapter, you might feel yourself much closer to this information, are much familiar to this civilization, because this civilization is current Pakistan and India. So the civilization which were living in the past is called the Indus Valley Civilization, and currently it's the area of Pakistan and India. So let's start the chapter. The objectives for today's lesson is, by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to recall the main points of the previous chapter. Here we are talking about the Egyptians. Describe the lifestyle of the Indus Valley people through the archaeological finds at the sites of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. You might have heard the words Mohenjo-daro and Harappa somewhere, maybe one of the documentaries. So these are the parts which are actually present in current Pakistan, right now in Pakistan. Maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, or maybe you in your childhood had visited them, maybe. But these are the two, you can say, the ruins of the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the signs of Indus Valley people. Then comes list down the artifacts of Indus Valley civilization. As you know that all the civilization, they have left behind something remarkable, some of their signs. So artifacts are actually the things through which we'll come to know that how those peoples were used to live. So we had found a lot of artifacts about the Indus Valley civilization people. And number 4, elaborate the two planning of the Indus Valley civilization. Well, you'll come town planning. You'll come to know that the people who are living in Indus Valley civilization, they were very much advanced because they have planned proper cities. They were not living like Egyptians or Mesopotamians. They were actually living in a proper uh, way, in a proper architectural structure. They had the proper roads, they had the proper houses. Anyway, you'll come to know about it in the later slides. So let's recap the previous chapter, and I would like to link this previous chapter with the current chapter that I'm teaching you. The first thing we have read about, that Egyptians, they used to live near River Nile. Okay, so in the Indus Valley civilization, Indus, the river Indus was the one where the other civilization, this civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, used to live. It means that Pakistan and India, when they were living together, they were actually used to dwell near the area. Then the agriculture of the people of Egyptian civilization depend on flooding of River Nile. That's true. Similarly, people over here, again, they use the water from the Indus Valley, from the Indus River to help in agriculture. And the third is the artists of the Egyptian civilization built temples, pyramids, extensive statues of gods and kings. Okay, so like we have discussed in our previous chapter, that whenever you have visited, whenever we go watch any kind of documentary related to the Egyptians, we might see that there was some temples, pyramids, one of the 7 wonders you may find over there. They were actually one of the remarkable buildings, one of the remarkable feature of Egypt. Similarly, Indus Valley civilization, they have such wonderful buildings. They have remarkable buildings. One of them is the Great Bath. Well, you can even search it about it on the internet, and you can even see it in one of the documentaries. And later on, I'm going to tell you about what was the Great Bath. So the resources that we're going to use are the images, YouTube videos, which are embedded in your resources, and the textbook, page number 11, the chapter I've taken from your textbook. So the topics we're going to cover today is introduction, Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization, the word comes from Harappa. It's a city of Indus Valley civilization. Now it's a ruin. It's no longer that proper city that you can see over here right now. It's just bricks and nothing. Anyway, I'm going to show you the pictures and you'll come to know. And the third, we're going to do the city dwellers and master urban planners. Now let's have an introduction and the pre-cap. Pre-cap means the things which will come later, which we're going to do later in maybe in the next week. Few of them we're going to cover in this week. The civilization is connected to the area that we know today as Pakistan. Yes, the thing that I was telling you before, that actually Indus Valley civilization is all about our forefathers, all about the people who are living before us thousands of years ago, how they started living, how they started their lives and civilization in the cities, how they started developing. Uh, the study of this civilization is all about it. And so that area is today known as Pakistan. Civilization here goes back to 4,000 to 5,000 BCE. Yes, it is that much old. The amazing features of the Indus Valley civilization are its urban culture, which planned cities. With planned cities, yes, they have planned wonderful cities. They have the proper roads. Writings, yes, they were writings. As we are going through all the civilizations one by one, you must have noticed one thing, that every civilization had their own writing. It's not like that the Egyptians, when they were your hieroglyphs, it's not that it was being used in the Indus Valley civilization as well, or maybe Mesopotamian were using hieroglyphs before. No, never. Every civilization has their own writing system. So similarly, Indus Valley civilization had their own writing system, but we were unable to decipher it. We were unable to decode it yet. And there were some seals that tells us about the pastoral life and a developed way of life. About the seals and about the pastoral life, we're going to do it in the next week. So I'm going to explain you these things in the next week. These 2 points are actually the pre-cap, which will come later on for the next week. So Indus Valley civilization. Now, I would like to tell you some of the discoveries of archaeologists. As you know, that archaeologist is the person who used to study the ruins of the people who were living before us. So they have to study it by excavating it, by digging it. So archaeologists in 1920, they found Harappa, the area of Harappa, that was one of the Indus Valley civilization, one of the city of Indus Valley civilization in Sahiwal. And then it's in Punjab, Sahiwal, Punjab. Then in 1920, Mohenjo-daro, this is again one of the city of Indus Valley civilization. It was found in Sindh. Then in 1974, in Balochistan, they found an area known as Mehergarh, that is 7,000 to 5,000 in seven. That is older, that much older, 7,000 to 5,500 BCE, that much older. And Mehergarh is considered to be the oldest of all. And in 1890, they find some ruins of Mesopotamia. I know we have already done Mesopotamia, but you should need to know when some of the discoveries of archaeologists. And in 1970, they found the ancient civilization of China. Okay, one thing more. Later on, we will also do the ancient civilization of China, and you will be amazed to know their discoveries. It's a very interesting chapter. So, as we were doing the geographical location, the map description of the previous civilization, so now it's all about Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley flourished around the banks of the river Indus, mainly between 2006 and 1300 BCE. The river Indus starts from the mountains of the north modern day Pakistan and it finds its way down to flow into Arabian Sea. Here you can find that these are the mountains and now it's flowing down to the Arabian Sea. Indus River provided the transport and the water and fertile soil for the crops. Yes, the same features as like the river Nile and river Tigris and Euphrates. The rich soil of the river made agriculture easier by giving high yield crops. Definitely, the water will help the crops to grow more and fertile. The Potawar Plateau, also known as Potawar Plateau, was the home of the Son culture and which grew along the Son River Valley. So there was another Valley known as Swan River Valley, and it was a part of the Indus Valley civilization. Now, here, this map, I have taken the same map from your book. Now, here you can see the Indus Valley sites. This is Mohenjo-daro. Here we have Harappa, and as we have talked about that Mohenjo-daro were near the Sindh, so it's Satluj, and Harappa as it's near the Sahiwal, so this is a part of the Jhelum, and this is the Indus River going on. Okay. Lifestyle of the Indus Valley people through the archaeological finds at the sites of the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. So, how would we come to know that how the people used to live? What was their life pattern? So, what was the source through which we came to know? Usually, those were the artifacts. The people who left the things behind them were actually uh, the things for us to guess how they used to live, how they used to eat, or what kind of weapons they had, what kind of jewelry they used to put on, or what kind of dresses they used to dress themselves. So this is all about the lifestyle, and archaeologists, they helped us to study it. So in the late 1820s, a British explorer in India named Charles Mason stumbled across some mysterious ruins and bricks mound, the first evidence of the lost city of Harappa. 30 years in 1890, because here I'm saying India because Pakistan and India, when they were living together, they were known as a part of the subcontinent. So usually at the time they used to call that area India. So in 1820, Charles Mason, he actually came across a very deserted but ruined place, a mysterious place which was full of the mounds, rocks. And then later on, he came to know that actually it was the lost city of Harappa. Actually, people used to live over there. Later on, 30 years later, in 1856, the railway engineers, they found more bricks which were carted off before continuing the railway construction. In the 1920s, archaeologists finally began to excavate and uncover the sites of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The long forgotten Indus Valley civilization had at last been discovered. So yeah, after 1920, they started excavating it after getting so many visible proofs that there might be a chance of an ancient civilization living over there. They started excavating it, and finally, they found the forgotten Indus Valley civilization, which was consisted of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The description of the major artifacts, like I've already discussed, that artifacts are the main things which help we help the archaeologists and historians to know how the people were used to live. So some of the major artifacts we're going to discuss of the Indus Valley civilization. Mohenjo-daro and its Great Bath. Well, we have already discussed about the Great Bath at the start of the lesson. As it is today, it is 12-meter long and 7-meter wide. Well, you can say, you can call Great Bath one of the swimming pools of today, or maybe you can call it a spa or whatever you want to call it. But at that time, they used to have at the center of the city a very big area which is known as a Great Bath, and there used to be a lot of water inside, and it was 12-meter long and 7-meter wide. Here you can see the picture. Mohenjo-daro translates to the Hill of the Dead or the Mount of the Dead in Sindhi. Now, the Mohenjo-daro, if we do the word actually comes from the Sindhi, is in Sindhi, you know, the language of the Sindh. They used to call it the Hill of the Dead or the Mound of the Dead. The Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, a water-light pool perched on the top of a mound of dirt, is enclosed within walls of the baked bricks. The bathing pool suggests that Harappan valued cleanliness. So just because there was a big pool over there, there was a big great bath over there. So one of the things they came to know about the Indus Valley civilization was that they were keen of taking baths. They were fond of cleanliness. They love to keep themselves clean. There were even small changing rooms surrounding the great bath with an attached bath area in each room. Well, they had the changing rooms over there, and every room was attached to the bathroom. Well, I think this thing sounds quite familiar to the time in which we are living. Every room in our house has a dish festival. Now, there was another thing which they found. Indus Valley people were very fond of playing. Now, what they like to play, it was a game like chess. Evidence suggests that the people of the Indus Valley civilization loved games and toys. Flat stones with engraved grid marking and playing pieces have been found, which shows that the Indus people may have played an early form of chess. Dice cubes with six sides and spots have also been found by the archaeologists, which suggests that they may have invented the dice too. So we might say that the game of the chess or the dice, as you know, the dice which has the six sides, and I think it's quite familiar to you, Ludo. I think it has maybe comes from the idea of it comes from Indus Valley civilization. Maybe they were the first one to introduce that game. It shows the cultural advancements of the Indus Valley people, and by these we come to know the details of their diet, water disposal, and housing. Indus Valley people were skilled potters and metal workers. They made fine painted vessels, terracotta statues, and beautiful gold jewelry. They also learned how to blend copper and tin to produce bronze. Now, playing with the copper and tin, it was a very big thing at that time. It means they can make any kind of weapons because they were using the copper and the tin, but they preferred to make jewelry with it. So if you have ever visited the museums, and in every museum you may find some of the artifacts of the Indus related to the Indus Valley civilization. So you might find those artifacts over there, and they are actually the gold jewelry. Yes, they are very old, very precious, and there were some terracotta statues, and there are some painted vessels, and there's some places over there as well. If you ever visited Texila, um, near to the areas of the Texila, you may find many of the ruins and many of the artifacts of the Indus Valley civilization. So I really suggest you to go whenever we are done with this COVID-19. Please do visit those ruins. You will definitely love it. When you find some signs of the people living over there, you may find their utensils, you may find the pots, the glasses in which they used to eat. That would be very interesting for you. Okay, so the artifacts, like I said, they used the bronze, copper, and quartz for making things. So the things they used to make were jewelry, pins, and bangles, sculptures, vessels, statues, and knives, and fish hooks, arrowheads, saws, and chisels. Agriculture, yes. They were living in the near the Indus River. Obviously, agriculture was their foremost livelihood. So Indus Valley people were highly skilled agriculturists. The Harappan cultivated wheat and barley, peas and dates, and also sesamums and mustard, which were used for oil. However, the people cultivated rice as early as 1800 BC. The Harappans were the earliest people and the pioneers of to grow cotton. So I think you're all familiar with all of these crops, and yet still in Pakistan we are growing the crops. And in your previous, in class 5 social studies book, if I can recall, you also learned that Pakistan is the first exporter, a big exporter of cotton. So yeah, the reason is that we can grow the cotton just because of the Indus River. Irrigation depended on the irregular flooding of the rivers of Punjab and Sindh. Uh, Stock breeding, no less more than agriculture was stock breeding. Besides sheep and goats, humped cattle, buffaloes, and elephants were domesticated. The camel was rare, and the horse was probably non known to the Harappans. Yes, Obviously, stock breeding was over there as well. They had the cows and the buffaloes. They have the sheep for and the cattle. They had domesticated it. But the one thing over there was that horse was unknown to them. The archaeologists did not find any kind of any ruins of horse bones or anything related to the horses. So it means that those people living in the Indus Valley civilization actually were dependent on those domesticated animals. Now, Indus Valley civilization, agriculture, and domestication. Now, in agriculture, agriculture was practiced along the river bank. Indus River inundated the region. It means Indus River provided fully the water to every region. Floods took place annually because of having the Indus River. Obviously, there were the flooding. Produced two types of wheat and barley. People sowed in flood plains floodplains during November and reaped in April. So when it was the flooding, they used to sow the crops and then used to reap it in April. First people to produce cotton recalled it sendan. Sesame and mustards were also cultivated. Channels or canals irrigation was absent. So there wasn't any kind of proper canal system. Right. Then if we talk about domestication, humped bulls were predominant. Reared buffaloes, sheep, oxen, asses, and goats, pigs, etc. Goats, dogs, and cats were grown as pet. Kept asses and camels for transport. Asses, or you in American people often call it asses, is actually donkeys. People were acquainted with elephants and rhinoceros. City developers and master urban planners. Well, here I can call Indus Valley Civilization or the people of Indus Valley Civilization the best architectures. Well, how they were the best? Let's see. The most remarkable feature of the Harappan civilization was its urbanization. They know how to manage the people in cities. Each day was divided into a citadel area. Each city was divided into a citadel area where the essential institution of civil and religious life were located, and the lower residential area where the urban populated lived. Well, citadel is actually a big area which is surrounded by the wall of the brick, and this area is basically a kind of a shelter during the war or maybe any kind of crisis. So usually every city has a citadel area which is surrounded by the wall, and where they used to practice the institutions and the religious life. And then there comes a lower residential area where the other population was living. In simple, you can say that there was an area where they used to live all the officials, and then there comes a civil area where they were used to live all the rest of the population. Here, if we look at the buildings, we'll come to know that there were certain dwelling houses. Dwelling houses means the people where they used to live, small houses. Large buildings, maybe large buildings were some official buildings, maybe there are for the sake of some other work. And great baths, yes, they were fond of taking baths, showers. One of the reason is the weather as well. Yes, it was a very cold weather. It was a very hot weather with humid weather, and everybody was preferred to get into the bath. Maybe there was one of the reasons. Well, smaller houses, they used to have 2 rooms, larger houses, multiple rooms, big buildings were with the courtyards, concentrated on utility, comfortable, simple. Wooden flats or roofs, doors and windows, they have fixed walls. Well, all of these things, if I just, you know, compare our living today with the Indus Valley civilization, I don't find any kind of difference, much difference now. Okay, let's come to the citadel. Here is one of the pictures of the citadel area. In Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the citadel was surrounded by a brick wall. At Kalibangan, both the citadel and the lower city were surrounded by a wall. The use of baked and unbaked bricks of andesite shows that the brick making was a large-scale industry for the Harappans. In the citadel area, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro is the most striking structure. It is assumed that it was meant for some elaborate rituals of vital importance of the people. In Mohenjo-daro, to another side of the Great Bath is a long building which has been identified as the residence of very high officials. Another significant building here is an assembly hall. So those were actually the views, and these were actually the ideas of, or the guesses of the archaeologists, that how people over there were used to live. Where there was a great bath, and then there was a citadel area, and they also had believed that maybe the people over there on the citadel area, they might be having any kind of ritual going on. The houses of varying sizes point towards economic groups in the settlement. The parallel rows of two-rooms cottages unearthed at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were perhaps used by poorer sections of the society, while the big houses, which had much the same plan, a square courtyard around which were a number of the rooms, were used by the rich. The houses were equipped with private wells and toilets. Well, when they found some of the places where the sections, the parallel rows, they were less in number, they came to know that maybe those are the places allotted to the poor people, and where they found some large squares with the courtyard. They finally came to know that it was the area for the rich people, which were with the wells and the toilets. A well-planned street grid and an elaborate drainage system hint that the occupants of the ancient Indus civilization cities were skilled urban planners who gave importance to the management of water. Wells have also been found throughout the city, and nearly every house contains a nearly demarked bathing area and a covered drainage system. So they had a proper drainage system which used to go from underneath the houses, and they were the proper wells. So it shows that Indus Valley civilization people had a proper concept of urbanization. Now, there's one of the historian, his name is John Kay, he's a British historian. He clearly said that, clearly Harappan settlements were not just Indians' first cities and township, but the first, indeed the world's first planned cities and townships. So I think we have read a lot about urban planning, about agriculture, about some of the artifacts. So let's recap. Introduction, that we have read about Indus Valley civilization, which in current is called Pakistan. We have found two lost, forgotten sites in 1920. Those were actually found by the archaeologists. One was Harappa and one was Mohenjo-daro. In Sahiwal, we found Harappa in Mohenjo-daro was found in Sindh, and then we have Mehergarh, which was considered to be the oldest of all, and it was found in Balochistan. In the geographical description, we came to know that the water comes from the northern areas, and after passing from the Jhelum and Sutlej, it goes down to in this river, it goes down to the Arabian Sea. Lifestyle of the Indus Valley people, so the archaeologists finds at the sites of the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. We have learned about the Great Bath, which was 7 meter long and 12 meter long and 7 meter wide. And then we have read about, we came to know that they were fond of playing chess, and they're fond of playing Ludo, because we have found a dice with the 6 sides, and they were a stone carved with the rows and the columns, and there were some figures like chess. And later on, we have read about the agriculture, that obviously they were living near river Indus, so they were fond of agriculture, but their best irrigation system was the reason for crops to grow well. And then the city dwellers and master urban planners, yes, they have developed their area into a proper city, where they were a great bath. There were the citadels, there were the houses with attached bathrooms, they have the proper drainage systems. They consist of dwelling houses, big buildings. That's it. So the writing assignments for you are: name the 2 major sites of the Indus Valley civilization. In which province of present day of Pakistan are they found? From what source do we know the life pattern of the Indus Valley people? The Harappans were city dwellers. Explain how their cities were planned. Explain how the Indus Valley people grew their crops.